Hello students, welcome back. A biology second PUC chapter called as ecosystem. In the previous class we discussed the what is meant by ecosystem, types of ecosystem. In that types, natural and anthropogenic ecosystem. Natural again two types. One is called as a aquatic, another called as a terrestrial. Then anthropogenic like a man-made or artificial ecosystem. The in the previous class we studied one more concept called as a pond ecosystem, structure and functional aspects of pond ecosystem. Then functional components of an ecosystem. There are four functional components are there. One is called as a productivity, second called as a decomposition, third is the energy flow in an ecosystem, fourth is called as a nutrient cycle. Nutrient cycle. So in the previous class we discussed the productivity as well as decomposition. In the decomposition the 5 steps are there. One is called as first one fragmentation, second one called as a leaching, third one catabolism, fourth one humidification, fifth one mineralization. By the 5 steps the decomposition process is taken place. The parts of dead the dead parts of plants and animals are able to decompose by these 5 steps. Then there are some factors also affect the rate of decomposition like oxygen, temperature, warm and moist environment helpful for the or favors the decomposition, etc. So now we are going to study a third functional component called as a energy flow in an ecosystem. Here we are going to study how energy able to transfer or flow from one group of organisms to another group of organisms or one community to another community in an ecosystem. Okay, the energy flow is we are going to study in two concepts. One is called as a food chain, second one called as a thermodynamics. The law of thermodynamics. First we are going to study food chain. Food chain is defined as the transfer of food energy from producers to consumers through a series of organisms by a process of eating and being eaten in an ecosystem is called food chain. One more definition is the transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level with repeated eating and being eaten is called food chain. Food chain. So there is one example is there. Grasses comes under the producer community. They prepare their own food by photosynthesis. Such grasses are eaten by grasshopper. Grasshopper is a herbivores, plant eating animals. Grasshopper, a herbivore, comes under a community called as a consumer, primary consumers. Third, frog. Grasshoppers are eaten by frog. The frog is also a second community called as a consumer, but it is a specifically secondary consumer. Then third one is snake. Fourth one is snakes. Snakes able to feed the frog. Feed the frog. The snakes are we are called as a tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumer. Sometime in some food chain we also see a quaternary consumers like eagle. Eagles are able to eat the snakes. So here grasses are prepare the own food. The grasshopper insect able to eat the grasses It means the grasshopper get the food source from the grasses. Through the food, energy is transferred from grasses to grasshopper. The grasses are prepare the food with the help of solar energy, sun energy, and that sun energy is converted into chemical energy. Such chemical energy is transferred to the grasshopper. Such chemical energy is again transferred to the frog because the frog eats the grasshopper. Then the snake eats the frog, again the energy is transferred. Eagle eat the snake, then the energy is transferred to the snake to eagle. Likewise, the energy is able to flow in one group of organisms to another group of organisms. So each group of organisms we call as a trophic level. Grasses, one trophic level. Grasshopper, one trophic level. Frog, one trophic level. Snake, one trophic level. Eagle, one trophic level. Trophic level, a group of organism irrespective of their size having same source of energy or similar food habit is called trophic level. Or the energy levels or food levels of the producers and consumers of food chain are called trophic level. The grasses are the first trophic level, grasshopper is the second trophic level, frog is the third trophic level, snake is the fourth trophic level, eagle is the fifth trophic level. We are going to represent a T1, T2, T3, T4 like that. Okay. Then each trophic level has a certain mass of living material or biomass or number in unit area at particular time is called as a standing crop. Each trophic level has certain mass of living material or number in a unit area at a particular time is called as a standing crop. The standing crop is measured as the mass of living organism or number in unit area. When come to the food chain, the food chains are three types are there. The types of food chain we are going to see. The three types are there. One is called as a predator or grazing food chain. Second, a detritus food chain. Fourth one is called as a parasitic food chain. When come to the predator or grazing food chain, the food chain in which the food energy passes from producers to consumers through herbivores is called a predator or grazing food chain. So, in the predator or grazing food chain, the first trophic level occupies nothing but the grazing. That means the herbivore. Okay, what the food chain is there here, what happens? The food chain in which the food energy passes from producers to consumers through the herbivores. Here, the second trophic level must be what? Nothing but a grazing or herbivores or predators. For example, grasses eaten by deer eaten by tiger. Deer is a herbivore and deer is a predator to the deer is a prey to a tiger called as a predator. So the energy is transferred from grasses to deer to tiger. Okay, so it is called as a grazing or predator food chain. Second one. So detritus or saprophytic food chain. Before going to that, one more example for the grazing or predator food chain. Grasses are there, grasshoppers are there. Grasses are eaten by grasshopper eaten by lizard, and lizard eaten by hawk. So grasshopper is a second trophic level occupy the herbivores. Like that these are the terrestrial a food chain example. The aquatic means phytoplanktons eaten by zooplanktons, the fishes eaten the zooplanktons, then snakes eaten the fishes. When come to the detritus or saprophytic food chain, the food chain in which the food energy passes from dead organic matter to saprophytes is called detritus or saprophytic food chain. Here, the first trophic level is the detritus. Such one is eaten by saprophytes. Detritus, dead organic matter, eaten by a saprophyte animals called as a earthworm. Earthworms eaten by frogs. Frogs eaten by snakes. Like that, the one food chain is formed. Here, the detritus, a humus, a dead organic matter. Here, the energy is transferred to the earthworm. Then, when the frogs eat the earthworm, the energy is transferred from earthworm to frogs. Finally, when the snakes eat the frog, then the energy is transferred from frogs to the snakes. This is called the detritus food chain. The detritus food chain may be connected with the grazing food chain at some levels. Some of the organisms of detritus food chain are become prey to the animals of grazing food chain. It is grazing food chain. Okay. Then the third one is called as a parasitic food chain. Parasites, the organisms which depend upon other organism and get that organism which depend upon the other organism for the food and shelter and gives effect to the host. Such organisms are called as a parasites. In the food chain, the parasites occupies the trophic level, so it is called a parasitic food chain. The food chain in which the food energy passes from producers to parasites through the consumer is called parasitic food chain. Best example, green plants are there. Such green plants are eaten by man. Inside the man, the roundworm called as a parasite which affect the man. So in the food chain, there are parasites or occupy the place called as a parasitic food chain. One more example is there. One mango tree is there. On that, the birds are able to live. The birds able to feed the mango fruits. The energy is transferred from mango fruits to birds. On the bird's surface, there are bird lice are present. The bird lice are able to suck the blood of the birds. Then the energy is transferred to the bird lice. Inside the bird lice, the bacteria are able to lead a life. The bacteria which affect the diseases to the bird lice, then birds as well as mango. Here, the parasites involved in the food chain. That is called as a parasitic food chain. So this is about the three different types of the food chain. When we are moving to the next one called as a food web. Food web means the complex of interconnecting network of several food chains in an ecosystem is called food web. The complex interconnecting network of several food chains in an ecosystem is called food web. So here what happens? Very simply, one more definition is there. The interlocking of many food chain is called food web. Okay, food. So there is a diagram is there how the different type of food chains are interconnected to become one food web. See the grasshoppers. One is grass is there. Grass is eaten by rabbit, herbivores. Herbivores are eaten by hawk. One food chain is formed. One more, the grass is there eaten by grasshopper. Grasshopper is eaten by hawk. One more, the grass is eaten by grasshopper. Grasshopper eaten by lizard. The lizard is eaten by a hawk. Grass is eaten by mouse. Mouse is eaten by hawk. One more, a food chain. Grass is eaten by a mouse, mouse is eaten by snake, snake is eaten by how? Okay. How? So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The different types of food chains are interconnected to form a web-like structure called as a food web. Food web. So when come to the significance of the food web, the significance of food web. Food webs are very important in maintaining the stability of an ecosystem. Stability. For example, a deleterious growth of grasses is controlled by herbivores. When one type of herbivore become extinct, the other type of herbivores increase in number and control the vegetation. Similarly, when one type of herbivore animal become extinct, the carnivore predating on this type may eat another type of herbivore. So just imagine if if completely extinct of a herbivore animals, what the situation? There is an increasing of plants, there is an increasing of consumers, secondary consumers. So here the economic stability will be, the environment or ecosystem stability will be imbalance. So the food web is very very essential for the maintaining of the stability or equilibrium. Then when come to the exactly how the energy is transferred, energy is flow. The transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level is called as a energy flow. The producers synthesize and store the energy in the body by a process called as a photosynthesis. Here the flow of energy is an ecosystem is unidirectional, not in a bidirectional. When the herbivores eat the producers, the energy is transferred to the body of a herbivorous. Only 10% is stored. Remaining 90% of energy is lost by feces or respiration or unused energy or heat. So each and every trophic level only 10% of energy is stored. Remaining 90% of energy is lost in the form of heat. The only 10% of energy is stored, that is called as a 10% law. 10% law. So energy flow is also, we are going to understand a two law is called as a first law of thermodynamics, another called as a second law of thermodynamics. So we are discussing the energy flow. In the food chain, we also understand how energy is flow from one trophic level to another trophic level, that is one group of organisms to another group of organism. So also we understand energy, how it is flow from one organism to another organism by first law and second law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but get transferred from one form to another form. So in ecosystem also the light energy is captured by green plants by a photosynthesis process, then it converted into chemical energy. Then the chemical energy is transferred from green plants to the consumers of different trophic level by process of eating and being eaten in unidirectional manner. When come to the second law of thermodynamics, it states that when energy is transferred from one form to another form, some amount of energy will be disappear. Some amount of energy will be evaporated in the form of heat. In ecosystem also, at each trophic level, some amount of energy will be evaporated in the form of heat during the transformation. transformation. Thus, there is a decrease in the availability of energy from producers to consumers of different trophic level because of the length of food chain in ecosystem is generally limited to 3 to 4 trophic levels. Okay, here what happens in ecosystem, energy flows in unidirectional manner. The plants sorry, the plants capture the 2 to 10% of a photosynthetically active radiation and used in the photosynthesis. Actually, less than 50% of incident solar radiation is photosynthetically active radiation. Except for deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem, sun is the only one source of energy for all ecosystem on the earth. In that, the 50% solar radiation is photosynthetically active radiation, that is PAR. In that, the plants able to capture by photosynthesis only 2 to 10% of photosynthetically active radiation. All organisms depend on the producers either directly or indirectly. It means the all the living organism, all the living organism except plants depends upon so all the herbivores or carnivores or any other animal depend upon the plants. Without plants there is no any ecosystem, there is no any environment exist. Energy flow in the ecosystem is unidirectional. Energy is transferred from producers to consumers. So plants, from the plants the energy is transferred to the consumers, that means plants to the animals, because the plants having ability to prepare the food and store it by a process called photosynthesis. But the energy is transferred from plants to animals. The animals will not able to prepare the food molecule. The animals will not able to transfer the food or energy to the plants. That means the plants are not able to consume the animals except insectivorous plants. So the energy transfer is not absolute and spontaneous. Unless energy is degraded, it can be transferred. When energy transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level, lot of energy lost in the form of heat to the environment. Only the 10% of energy transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level. This is called as a 10% law or law of 10%. Okay, this is about the energy flow. We are understand through concept. One is food chain, second is a law of thermodynamics. Okay, in the next class we are going to study the third functional component of an ecosystem called as a nothing but the a fourth one is called as a nutrient cycle. Thank you.